Our third speaker is Senator Jim Walsh, who's an independent member of Seanad Éireann and the Seanad spokesman on foreign affairs and trade. Please, Jim, thank you.
Madam Chairman, the 34th Amendment to the Irish Constitution, we are told by our government, is about equality. Equality is important to all of us. Indeed, our founders of the state recognised this when in our constitution under fundamental rights, Article 40, Article 1 of that, or Section 1 of that article says, all citizens shall, as human persons, be held equal before the law. In other words, whatever our race, creed or orientation, we're all equal before the law. That is not in doubt. It then goes on to say, this shall not be held to mean that the state shall not, in its enactments, have due regard to differences of capacity, physical and moral, and of social function. Now, I think there's a very clear difference between same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples. There's a significant difference of capacity, and that is the capacity to procreate, which is fundamental to the continuance of our species. Mature democracies respect and recognise differences. Mothers and fathers bring different attributes and benefits to children. The majority of you know this from your own experience. I was not so fortunate, so I'm acutely aware of the void of an absent parent. Indeed, I saw a recent article which resonated with me from a lady called Heather Barwick. She is the daughter of a gay woman in the US, and this woman left her husband and Heather's father when Heather was 2 to 3 years of age. And Heather was raised with her mother and her mother's partner, same-sex partner. She's loud in her praise of the devotion, attention and love that they gave her. But she clearly sets out in the article that she felt that void in her life, the absence of her father, was something she ached for throughout her life. She participated in all the campaigns, as children of gay couples do, in relation to gay rights issues, in relation to same-sex marriage. But she said it was really only when she married herself, had her own children, that she saw what she considered to be the beauty and indeed the wisdom of traditional marriage. She doesn't participate in interviews because she doesn't want to offend, and she's agreed with her mother she would not do this. So homophobia or anything like that is not in question with this woman. Gender balance is something which we hear a lot about nowadays. Indeed, our state boards, corporate Ireland, politics, gender quotas have to be put in place, and rightly so, to ensure women's rights to equality. Why then should we now try to accept the gender balance issue where it's most needed, when we seek to remove it from marriage? Surely that is contrary to the prevailing orthodoxy and certainly contrary to the interest of children. The government peddle a myth that mothers and fathers don't matter. It's a fantasy like Hans Christian Andersen, The Emperor Has No Clothes, which some of you may, or all of you may be very familiar with. Same-sex couples can obviously beget children through donor-assisted human reproduction or surrogacy. And I know there's been a lot of talk about that recently. And people will deny, of course, that it's related. Can I just tell you that there are surrogacy trade fairs and seminars now regularly taking place in Europe. There was one here in Dublin in November last entitled The Future of Same-Sex Parenting in Ireland. This month, there's one in European Conference on Gay Fatherhood and Men Having Babies, which is held in cooperation with several LGBT and surrogacy associates in Brussels. Heather and I had the misfortune that we lost our parents through a certain set of consequences. But the government seeks to redesign this system where a child will deliberately be deprived of a mother or a father. I just say to you, think about marriage. What is it? Marriage is the unity of children with their own mothers and fathers. It's the only civil institution which recognises that. I believe we change it at our peril. But this, of course, does not deal with a real issue and concerns of gay couples, who, having all the significant legal benefits of marriage and civil partnership, are devoid of constitutional recognition. Our laws can be changed, and this is a point that has been put to me strongly by both Senator Catherine Sabone in the Senate and indeed subsequently by Colm O'Gorman on the Late Late Show. Their argument, in my opinion, has merit, and I suggested it be met by an amendment recognising civil partnership, which could be made under Article 40 of our Constitution. This would give constitutional recognition and protection to gay couples, while preserving the pro-marriage, pro-family, pro-child nature of Article 41. Another persuasive argument for this proposal is the low take-up of same-sex marriage in countries where it is legal. The Netherlands, for example, which has had same-sex marriage since the year 2000, only has 20% of gay couples who are married, representing about 8% of all gay people. In Ireland, the number of civil partnerships, I think, are approximately 1,500. That is a lower percentage than Holland, but then we've only had civil partnerships since 2010. The other buzzword in this campaign is discrimination, used as a pejorative term to accuse opponents of homophobia or bigotry, when all the no side want to do is distinguish traditional marriage. In the past, gay people were criminalised, but we are now replacing this with a new form of discrimination and intolerance for those who do not accede to a particular way of thinking. I do not think I need to expand on the virtues of independent thinking or freedom of speech to this audience. Marriage isn't the only thing at stake in this referendum. Freedom of opinion and freedom of conscience for individuals, businesses and schools are also on the chopping block. Indeed, a significant insight into the pressure on school children was clearly illustrated in the intolerance and pressure they came under in North Dublin School last week, where they're being forced into wearing LGBT insignia and participating in LGBT week activities. Such coercion has no place in Ireland and certainly no place in our schools. I could mention the owner of the Daintree papers who had to close their business because they wouldn't display a wedding cake topper. Ashers, today the judge even recognised there were people of conscience and people of deep religious beliefs, yet the judge found against them. Brendan Icahn in the United States, CEO of Mozilla, a company he set up himself, made a $1,000 contribution to a pro-marriage group in the state of California. They campaigned against him in a way that he eventually had to leave his own company and resign. David Burrows, an MP in Britain, Paddy Manning here, both of whom would talked about the benefits of a child having a mother and father. They got death threats. Elton John challenged Dolce & Gabbana when they made the same statement about mothers and fathers. But earlier he had said, "It will break my son's heart to realise he hasn't got a mother when he grows up." I just want to finish by saying that you are young people, the world is your oyster. Is this the type of world you want to see created, where you cannot freely express your opinion if it deviates in any way from current orthodoxy? What will the consequences of that be for our fundamental freedoms in the future? Think carefully. The future beckons.